But not much to say about this match, though. Bobby Lashley would just pick up the win off of the spear, and he'd actually win in 1:40. So it was actually, well, I mean, I thought it was short, but I thought at least got a couple minutes in. But 1:40. Don't know how to rate this one because it was just so short, but I guess it did make Lashley look strong, which a lot of people do like, and I typically would like myself. It's gonna be weird trying to, I think, in some ways get back into Lashley just because I think that whole Lana Rusev angle just kind of ruined it for me a little bit.
So do I.
But like outside of that, I mean, you look at this guy. I mean, the guy should have been like a bigger deal than he was like in his first run. I mean, I think he wasn't like, he's still developing. Like he's a better talker and he's better with promos now than he was back then. But yeah, you look at this guy, like there's no reason he shouldn't be going against Brock like in a world title like match or something like that. I mean, come on. So I guess how would we rate that?
I'll give it 2 stars, maybe like 1 or 2 stars.
Yeah, because I mean, I guess it made Lashley look dominant. So if that's what they're going for, I guess it did its purpose. So I'll give it a 2. Who cares?
What's the next match?
Then we'd have a video which would feature several different athletes and celebrities paying respect to the frontline workers dealing with COVID-19.
Yep.
Respect for that, of course.
Mm-hmm.
It featured John Cena. Where's some other people in there?
Well, are you talking about just WWE guys or like athletes in general?
Oh, just athletes in general.
George Kittle was in there.
Yeah, George Kittle.
Lloyd was in there. I'm not sure if you other WWE superstars. Triple H was in there. Just a bunch of celebrities from different things.
Uh-huh.
Bunch of athletes, I mean.
So then we'd have a video that was recorded before and then was aired here. It featured King Corbin, and he was just naming off some of his recent accomplishments. He said after this, people would have to refer to him as King Money in the Bank. That just sounds terrible. Then next would be Bayley getting ready to defend her SmackDown Women's Championship against Tamina. But before the match, Kayla Braxton would ask Sasha Banks whether she blamed Bayley. She blamed Bayley for the loss to Tamina on SmackDown last Friday. But Bayley would basically just cut her off, and Banks would just look on. And then they go out
Obviously, before we do go on, they're slowly building to that breakup, obviously.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's been a long time coming because, I mean, they've been, like, teasing this for, like, a couple of years now, really. But it's like they're going to break them up, and then they just drop that, and then they're friends again. And they win the women's title, the women's tag team titles together. And then, they're the first ever, and then Sasha turns heel, then she comes back, and then she gets Bayley to turn heel, and, here we are. So next we'd have the SmackDown Women's Championship on the line. It'd be Bayley with Sasha in her corner against Tamina Snuka. I thought it was funny during the introductions how when they announced Tamina, Bayley, and Sasha would both make the crowd noise and just boo.
Yeah, that was really funny. Going into this match, I didn't expect much. It was actually better than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I agree.
It was good. Again, this was another predictable one. We all knew Bayley was going to win this. Bayley's come through that whole division.
Mm-hmm.
But, I thought it was good. I really liked how Sasha got involved to the end. The finish was weird, though.
Yeah, that's kind of what ruined it for me a bit. And once again, it's like you got the baby face who just, falls for, like, the silly tricks. Because she's just chasing Sasha around, and then, like, she gets distracted. Then Bayley gets her in the crucifix pin, which was not the best crucifix pin I've ever seen. But she'd pick up the win off of that.
Yeah, pick up the one off that.
So then Bayley would retain the title.
And then after the match, Sasha would attack Tamina.
Yeah.
And then they leave Tamina lying in the ring as they walked away. Once again, Bayley's had an incredible reign, ridiculously long at this point, which is kind of funny coming from a Becky Lynch fan. But
yeah, say the least.
Yeah, and her reign's been long, but I like that they're building to something. I hope at some point Sasha's going to take it off of her.
I don't know who else could.
Yeah. So how much time did they give this?
This one got a good 10 minutes.
Another short one. This could have gone longer. Again, there's just this show was so short that we don't have much to talk about. Like, it's very much, except for I'd say the last two matches, it's very much just matches.
Yeah.
That were just okay.
I guess this next one we could talk about a bit, but before we get into that, as far as the ratings go, it was a decent match. I think it's just certain things kind of just brought it down for me. Like, it wasn't like great, but, it was decent. That's like a 2 3/4 for me.
Yeah, I'll give it a 2 3/4.
No, that's not a bad rating. I mean, it's it's like not like really good, but I mean, it's like not like it's far from bad.
If you go back and listen to our Money in the Bank rewind from 2011, this is a 5-star compared to the women's match we got that year. So
without a doubt. So yeah, I'm not complaining about that.
We're not saying it's bad. We're just saying that it was okay. Like, it wasn't anything special.
So next we would have the Universal Championship on the line. It would be Braun Strowman in his first title defense since winning it at WrestleMania, defending against Bray Wyatt. And of course, this is Firefly Funhouse Bray Wyatt, not the Fiend.
So the whole storyline here was Bray Wyatt was trying to get Braun to go back to being the Braun that was in the Wyatt family. Put the mask back on, become him again, basically. And they wrestled. Braun put the mask on, but it was all a trick. And then he power slammed Bray and won. And then he said, "You don't control me." And then it ended with the Fiend popping up. And this is obviously all building to, I think, the Fiend beating Braun Strowman.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I think they'd have to save that for a little later down the road. I don't know that for a fact, only because I still don't know what you do in between. Because I just think that they made Strowman win the title because it's like, he went against Goldberg at Mania, and there probably wasn't anything you could do with Goldberg after that.
My guess is they were 100% going to do. This was supposed to be Roman and the Fiend.
I would think, yeah. I mean, obviously they're going to do it at some point.
This was supposed to be Roman Reigns and the Fiend. Is what I think, at least.
Yeah.
But this match was okay. It was okay before the whole Braun thing happened. My thing with Bray Wyatt is I love his character and everything. I don't like it when he wrestles and isn't the Fiend.
I thought in this case it was fine. When he did it against The Miz the one time, that was not the greatest. But I think that was just bad by design, just because it's like with this case it worked, but it's like I think on both sides it was just wrong by design because like. The Miz, because they involved his family and stuff, like The Miz should have came out there, like, all serious and everything, instead he comes out, like, with this, like, his jacket, and he's got, like, the goggles or whatever, and it's just, like, this doesn't look serious, and, like, then Bray comes out with his, like, music and, like, whatever, but in this case, it worked, it was fine. But, there's a couple things I want to point out here. That one was, Bray would hit the Sister Abigail on Strowman, which he actually kicked out of, and then Bray would go for a second one, and then Strowman would counter with a choke slam, and then Strowman would pull the black sheep mask out from under the ring, and then Wyatt would start getting excited because he put it on and he started to wear it because he thought that he was going to rejoin him, and then he would say, "Do you understand what this means? I promise you, I promise this time everything will be perfect." Then the two would hug and embrace in the center of the ring. The referee just doesn't know what to do. And also, the Firefly Funhouse puppets are Rambling Rabbit, Mercy the Bustard, and Huskus the Pig. Wait, did I say them all? Huskus Pig, Rambling Rabbit, Abby the Witch. Okay, there we go. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, they would all appear. They were all happy. And then it was all a ploy, though, because Strowman would then take the mask and he'd throw it on the ground. He'd stomp on it. And then he'd hit the running power slam on Bray and get the 3 count and retain the title.
Yeah, and this is obviously building to the Fiend, like we said. What did we give this star-wise?
I went with 3 1/4. You were a little less than me. You went with 2 3/4.
I don't know. my issue. This is going to be unpopular. I don't think Bray Wyatt is a very good wrestler.
I think there's certain things where they could play with strengths a bit more, and it can work at times. But I think that in terms of the average match that he usually has, like especially like with either this character or the Fiend, this is definitely better than the usual.
Yeah, I'll go 3. I guess maybe 2 3/4 is too low. I'll go 3. It was okay. Pretty much every match on this show was okay. Yeah,
with the exception of one, which we're gonna get into. Yeah. But the thing also I want to say though with this match is I actually thought that they did tell a story, which that made me give it a more favorable rating. So I mean I appreciate that, and hey, I mean it adds more to the story as well because he's going to come back, as the Fiend. You would think, and he's going to challenge him again at some point. But I mean, hey, what Bray likes to use is mind games against his opponents, and Braun actually beat him at his own game with that.
Yeah, that was cool to see.
So I thought that was good, and I actually thought they told a better story in this than they did in everything leading up to this, going into the pay-per-view. So yeah, I have no complaints about that. Way above expectations. When I saw that on paper, I'm like, oh, they're doing the Firefly Funhouse Bray in the ring again. I thought it was going to be a train wreck.
Mm-hmm.
But I think also they'd probably rather want to do this character of Bray against Braun also, just not only for the fact of saving the Fiend for later, but I don't think they really wanted to do a Fiend match if they could help it in front of no crowd. I'm still kind of iffy on that. Like when it came to Mania, like when they had Cena involved and Undertaker involved and Edge and involved, I'm like, I still think somewhere it's like, okay, we got these guys. It's like, do we really want to waste it in front of no crowd?
Yeah, we saw the Fiend's entrance in a dark match at a SmackDown we went to.
Yeah, in March.
And let me say, lives up to the hype. It is it's probably the coolest entrance I've ever seen live.
It very well could have been the coolest entrance I've seen too. Of course, I have seen Undertaker's entrance a couple times too, so it's really hard to talk, or it's really hard to go back and forth in between the two. But they're definitely both at a very high level of just mystique and just being able to witness that live was really cool. That was actually the last SmackDown that was done live in front of a live audience before this whole shutdown and lockdown and this whole entire situation. So
we're supposed to go to AEW the next week, right?
Not the next week, but I think it was 9 or 10 days after the fact.
Yeah, either way, it was good. That was pretty frustrating.
No, that was pretty disappointing. I still hope someday that it happens when they can finally go back to doing it.
We still have tickets, so what'll happen?
Oh no, they're still planning on doing it at some point. I just don't. It got rescheduled to July. I just don't know if that's actually going to happen at that point yet either.
So let's just get into the next match.
Yeah, but I guess the other thing I wanted to say about that too is watching that. I guess, since we're mentioning it, that SmackDown that I saw, I thought it was fine. I thought it was a fun experience, go up there, the three of us, including Joe. And I thought it was
saw the NWO.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a cool experience. I mean, I didn't think it was the greatest SmackDown ever, but with everything that followed afterwards, with all the lockdowns and whatnot, I am completely grateful for that experience and that whole entire show. So I have no complaints whatsoever. Because I remember we saw the next week they're going to have Jeff Hardy and John Cena on there. We're like, really? Couldn't give us that? Yeah. And then when everything got shut down and they moved it all to the Performance Center, I'm like, you know what? I am grateful for this. So I have no complaints whatsoever. But as you said, let's move on into the next match. It'd be the WWE Championship on the line. It'd be Drew McIntyre defending against Seth Rollins.
Easily the match of the night.
Oh, hands down. And I knew it was going to be the match of the night going into this.
Yeah, so did I. It was, in my opinion, very good match. I don't necessarily like that Seth Rollins has a new theme.
Oh, yeah. I'm not a big fan of that either.
It's tough because, I don't know, it's just that I love Seth's theme. I'm a huge Rollins fan, obviously. I think you know that by this point. But I don't know, I just really like his old theme. I'm not a huge fan of this Messiah character. But, like I said, regardless of Seth's character, when Seth Rollins gets in the ring, he more often than not delivers. Yeah,
he's still one of the best in between the ropes for sure. So McIntyre would try to get the advantage early on Rollins. He'd knock him from the ring, and then he told him he's going to let him have a breather. Then Rollins would play the crafty veteran and would try to get the advantage then.